streaming this?
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be going down.
Hold on.
What's up, buddy? So I'm gonna have to put a shirt on now, Jones.
I guess you don't have to, but you might want to. You're gonna have thousands of people seeing you, so you might want to, I guess.
All right, guys, we're live.
It's a pretty good camera here.
Two minutes.
Brian!
Hi, how you doing, buddy?
I'm such a troll. I don't know. I see the notification. I was like, all right, why not? I can't stay long though. I have to do something at midnight. I got my own thing, so I'll hop in first.
Good.
Hundred seconds.
I want to do this on my channel. Is it on my channel?
Yep. Live on both channels. Moneybags 73, Ripon Rabbit Hole. 60 seconds.
What's that?
20 seconds.
Ripon Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign.
Good evening and welcome to our first episode of the Backstage live show. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be here. I'm AJ, the Ripon Rabbit, and I'm coming to you live from the Backstage VIP lounge over at Ripon Rabbit Hole. And I'm honored to be joined by a few guests this evening. Moneybag 73 is here, Brian Stavely, Biz Woofer, and Z Rabbit. And of course, in the VIP lounge, there are plenty of open seats. So here's how you can be involved in tonight's broadcast. It's real simple. Just head over to riponrabbithole.com. Backstage, you'll find a little area listed as Backstage VIP Lounge. It's a cam chat lounge. There's an Enter Now button there for you, and that will bring you right into this VIP lounge. And you'll be live on air with all of us this evening. So I welcome all of you guys to our first experimental Backstage live show. How are you?
I'm good. I saw the notification pop up. I'm like, oh, open invite. All right, I'll slide in.
We thought we'd test a little experimental, format tonight and go completely impromptu. No schedule, nothing other than, hey, we figured we'd open up the lounge, have one of those great conversations that we've had so many of back here, and just broadcast it out live.
That's how it goes the best sometimes. Those last few times, man, if that was live, people would have loved it.
Exactly. And in fact, we even recorded some of that and used it from time to time. So we thought tonight we'd kick things off with some Mandela discussions. Has anybody in the room come across any new Mandela effects lately? Because Moneybags, you were telling me about waves and troughs, and you kind of felt like we were in a trough right now for Mandela effects.
Yeah, I've experienced it many times where it feels like you're in the trough of a wave before a new wave hits, and I not noticing much, not seeing a lot of people point out new things. There's always things being pointed out, but it just seems to really intensify and then cool down. So that's just feels like we're in a cool down now, and I've experienced this many times.
So is that something you guys relate to, Bizwoofer or Brian?
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen it have peaks and valleys over the years. Even though it might be a little less with the new effects right now, I am noticing a huge rise in the disinformation against us. So that hasn't slowed down. That's increased a lot over the last few months. Another channel just put out a hit piece on us just a couple hours ago. I'm going to cover it in a couple hours when I go live. It's they have 351,000 subs, and they're just completely trashing us. It's just all the time now.
That's nuts. Welcome, Patrick, to the VIP lounge. Good to see you. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Have you noticed
Here's a story
You've got
about a man named Brady.
That's right. Is that a Mandela effect? I'm new to these Mandela effects, so when somebody...
No, I'm just joking around.
No, there is one in the Brady Bunch song, though.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a story about a lovely lady, and then there's a story about a man named Brady, but that's not how it is anymore. It's a story about a man named Brady.
What is it now?
It's a story about a man named Brady. I remember here's a story about a man named Brady.
So going...
Yeah, I think that's just what I said.
I think that is what you said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Going to what Brian said about, there seems to be these unleash of, trolls and things. Do you think that that happens more often when we're in a trough? Because lately, I mean, even you, Moneybags, came under personal attack this week too.
Were you talking to me?
Yeah. Do you think that that's a possible side effect of the waves and troughs? When we're in a trough, there's a greater sense of negativity amongst us, or?
Well, Brian seemed to pick up on that. I don't notice that. I mean, I watch a lot of stuff, but I did see someone come out with a video. Are you talking about the one where they mentioned the 7 different memory issues, Brian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one today. Yeah,
I want to comment on there. The memory issues that they bring up, they don't tie together how we all have memory issues and things. We misremember things and we have confabulation and all that, but they didn't talk about how millions of people all create the same fake memories about
they never do.
Stuff.
They never do. They never address the residue, and they only talk about changes that people on the outside won't think are significant. They'll only talk about logos and a few things. They won't get into history and geography ever. Yeah. They'll never get into that, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
There are people in the chat room saying that they had no idea that was a Brady Bunch Mandela effect. I had no idea either. We're joined with somebody new here. Hello, JoJo's. How are you? I don't know if she can hear us.
I'm trying. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just trying to get it off the external speakers.
Welcome. Do you abide by the waves and the troughs theory too?
I haven't heard anything until we got here. Just a minute. Let me fix this thing.
Got it. It's interesting that we have 12 seats and right now 7 of them are taken. So I think when there's 12 people in here, it's going to get real crazy.
It's going to be an interesting evening.
It makes people wait, doesn't it?
How about this story that popped up in the news? Did you guys hear about Joe Biden? Joe Biden claims he was arrested in South Africa while trying to visit Nelson Mandela. Did you hear about this?
I heard a little bit
I heard
about
about that. Yeah, I heard about
A
that.
creepy fucking guy, right? I mean, I know I do.
Oh, it's like, how did he insert himself into the Mandela effect of all things? You know,
It's just like a stretch.
Well,
dude. Total,
But to
such
be
a stretch.
to be fair,
so
I don't
bizarre.
know that he
all
inserted
like-
himself in necessarily. I think the press put that on him. They in the New York Times.
Oh, okay. Well,
The New York Times, I think, is the first one that related it to the quote unquote so-called Mandela effect phenomenon, in which a person's vivid memory of a historical event or cultural touchstone turns out to be false. Now, the guy that he's actually claiming he was arrested with says, I don't remember this. I don't ever remember being arrested, and I for sure don't remember being in an African prison. So,
And you see what they're doing is right at the top of that story. They're making it. They're showing you how his story has changed. So it's like he's lying, and they're making you like subliminally correlate that with the Mandela effect. Like, oh, Mandela effect is just people changing their stories.
Yeah.
That's what
Right.
they're trying to do.
yeah. It seems anytime I see a politician in the media collaborate on something or push something, I always think twice about it. You know, just out of habit. You know, at this point.
and they
Not to say that it was, but just to, I always think twice about it. That's all. Personally.
So they even end that article, Brian. I think that's the line you might be speaking of. They say, but Young was skeptical that it would even be possible for a sitting member of Congress to be arrested in South Africa back then. And then goes on to say, Biden's campaign didn't immediately respond, basically saying, how can this guy be fit for president if he's suffering Mandela effect, if he's Mandela affected?
He's one of those delusional Mandela effect people chopping off heads with axes, like on Criminal Minds.
That's what we do. We chop heads off.
That's how we do
Yeah,
it.
we're dangerous.
Yeah.
Unreal.
We look for goofy rabbits that are evil looking.
That's right.
Oh
That's
my
right.
gosh. Oh yeah, goat/rabbit/possessed mascot from
Donnie Darko
the
rabbit.
Wisconsin Badgers.
So crazy. So crazy.
Or whatever it was. Yeah, that was bizarre. I gotta say. Yeah, it's been crazy out here lately with everything that's been popping up, hasn't it?
It really
Between
has.
all of those different things.
Yeah.
The funniest thing that most of these people are affected. They ridicule and they criticize something because they don't understand it. I think everybody's affected. That's always been my opinion of the Mandela effect.
Yeah, I agree.
Affected.
Yeah.
Well, at the least we should be able
Everybody's
to ask
affected, they're
questions,
just
right?
not awake.
At the least we should be able to ask questions, and we could disagree on the details or whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, we should at least be able to ask what's
I
going
agree
on.
100% with Moneybags. Everybody is affected. I haven't come across one unaffected person yet that's not affected by any changes. Never mind masses of people. That's the approach I like to do. You know why? Because, yeah, you can prove that it's a real thing to some people, but if they think they're not affected and they're an exclusion from it, it won't matter to them. If you can prove it to them that, hey, even you are affected, now the importance of it has hopefully just gone up for them, We know that's not always the case, but that's the way I go.
Yeah, and they'll tell you they're not affected, and then within 5 minutes of your discussion, they'll say a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask them a question.
I'm not
and then
affected. Oh yeah, Sex
they
in the
know
City.
they
Yeah.
answer.
I'm gonna go Sex in the City.
Even
Yeah.
even the
That's
guy
that's what happened with some of my
go ahead.
family.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's
No, go right ahead.
Even the guy that, lately the term I've been hearing started with that guy said Smokey the Bear. And apparently, Smokey the Bear was never Smokey the Bear. He's always Smokey Bear.
Yeah, that one was weird. That one got me too. Smokey Bear. I always remember Smokey the Bear.
So in the last week, I heard Smokey the Bear on the Goldbergs episode, where Adam Goldberg says Smokey the Bear. And then
you're going to hear residue all the time now, bro, because you're going to go through it hard now.
And then today, on the episode of last year's Ink Wars, or Skin Wars, some guy said Smokey the Bear there too. It was like in 2 days I've heard it 3 times. And I've never known this to not be the case, that it was never Smokey the Bear. That's what I thought it was until 2 days ago.
And no suspenders. And no suspenders anymore, right?
Yeah, no suspenders.
That one got me too. Like I always remembered him with suspenders. Personally.
Always.
Yeah,
for sure. That was like iconic,
Bright red suspenders.
Yeah, definitely.
We could do a 10-hour live
Lumberjack
stream
stuff.
just on accessories that have changed on characters from the Mandela effect. Pete Richards, losing the headband, Bruce Springsteen's bandana, Mickey Mouse suspended.
Yeah.
On and on, the monocle. I mean, on and on. All these sunglasses. It's just
Brian,
on and
you're
on.
now a walking encyclopedia.
And they're major accessories too. Like the headband. The headband is iconic for Richard Simmons.
That's right.
The Mickey Mouse, those buttons. What's the button for if it's not for suspenders?
That's right. Yeah, I remember Mickey Mouse.
What are they for?
Wait, Mickey Mouse doesn't wear suspenders either?
Nope, he lost them.
Nope.
He lost the suspenders.
Curious George has no tail.
If they're not for suspenders.
What the?
I remember Curious George with a tail. No, he doesn't have one.
He gave it to Mickey Mouse.
I'm looking up Mickey Mouse now.
It just looks bizarre too. It's like I always remember that.
Brought that to your awareness.
You remember Mickey Mouse with a tail, AJ?
Yeah. I do.
He doesn't have a tail either?
No, they took his tail a long time ago.
Of course they got tails. They're mice. And that Criminal Minds said, he's a monkey, isn't he? He's got to have a tail.
Yeah.
I think Disney did that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, how does a monkey not have a tail? What's up with that? It's got to be a first, right?
Did
he cut it off? He was...
Did he have suspenders as Steamboat Willie? Did Steamboat Willie have suspenders? No.
Steamboat Willie's a little different. He has a tail, though.
No, he doesn't have suspenders, but I seem to have this memory of him driving that boat and pulling on his suspenders.
You will find that boat, that one old cartoon of him on the steamboat. I think he does have the suspenders. I think there's that one exception.
But I'll tell you something. I watched a video and it was only 12 or 15 minutes long, and it was going against the Mandela effect, and they were saying how Jiffy is really, really Jiff. You just imagine that it's Jiffy. And it was a 12-minute long video, and they almost had me concerned that I misreading this shit. And I've been affected since 2016. I'm pretty sure we've been affected all our lives, but we just come out. It just woke up to it in 2016 for me.
Well, and the GIF one is super weird because that one for me, I went back and forth on that one because I had to think really hard about it, and I think it did change for me, but it changed way, way back. I'm talking the 90s and stuff when I was in elementary school and stuff. I was that's when it changed.
It's a big one for me. I mean, I know it was Jiffy.
Yeah.
But just this video, I'm just saying this video, it was it had me just thinking, how we think all the time. Are we misremembering these things? I know we're not, obviously, but
it happens to all of us, dude. We get that sometimes. We even though we try not to, every once in a while we'll get that doubt for something. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
It's way past that though, really.
I think back about the airplanes. To me, it brings myself right back to this fucked up reality. Oops, I'm sorry. This messed up reality, is that the airplane engines are definitely out of place for me.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
if I start thinking that I'm not remembering right, I go to the jet airplanes and go, and my body, how the hell does this shit change if I'm just misremembering, you know?
When did that change for you, Patrick? Like, when did you realize that the engines were no longer, flush with the wings?
Every Mandela effect, I woke up at different points in the last 3 years. The engines changed for me in 2018. And I completely woke up to the Mandela effect after I had kidney failure in 2016, and I was in a coma for 3 days. So, and I had the dialysis machine hooked up through my neck. I had wires and shit going everywhere. So, and when I woke up out of the coma, that's when I started seeing people had changed, and I woke up to the Mandela effect, seeing things differently and stuff like that. So every Mandela effect for me, and I'm still waking up to Mandela effects. Every day we wake up to new ones. So and there's things that some people have woken up to a Mandela effect that I haven't woken up to it yet, and it will come around to me eventually.
That's remarkable. That it happened at that time in your life.
Yeah.
Really unbelievable. Juanito 1975 joining us.
What's up?
Welcome, Juanito. How are you?
I've overslept.
I think Z Rabbit.
Oh, you're in good company.
Yeah. Hey, it's not the first time that somebody could possibly fall asleep in this room. I've fell asleep in here before. Juanito, somebody had a challenge for you. Z Rabbit, you want to give Juanito your challenge?
Hey, Juanito. So I had a shower thought a little while ago.
Okay.
Is it possible to do any kind of research through astral projection?
Oh, you mean like read a book and
No,
retain
like,
the
is it
knowledge?
possible to figure out the Mandela effect? Can you go research, possible answers for the Mandela effect, or, can you uncover some things through lucid dreaming or perhaps astral projection? Just a thought, just putting it out there,
That's interesting. There's been several times when I'm astral projecting and I create a wormhole. It sounds crazy, but you know what I mean? So I'll use the energy now affirmation. So I'll just go like this. I'll put out my hand like that and a burst of energy, white light or whatever you want to call it. And then I go into the tunnel, into the wormhole, and then whammo, you travel to a different location, and it's like a twinkle of an eye, you travel to somewhere else. So maybe possibly I could do that.
It would be interesting just to see what your journey could bring back. Moneybags, you've got you were going to ask me a toy question of a toy that Mandela affected that I'm not aware of.
Oh, the one that we were talking about asking Scott?
Yeah, because he I don't think he has ever heard this question asked before.
Hey, Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I don't know if he's with us right now.
Yeah, he might not be there. Z Rabbit, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so here we've got a question for you. Like myself, Z Rabbit is also not just new to the Mandela effect, but sometimes a bit skeptical, which rightfully so. So let's quiz him on what you quizzed me on with this toy.
I was wondering of your thoughts on Etch-a-Sketch.
On what?
Etch-a-Sketch? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Do you have a memory of how it's spelled on the toy?
ETCH or ETCH dash SK ETCH HS or
I
HS
do
sketch.
not.
Wow, I can't spell that. That was an abysmal failure.
That's your memory? Yeah.
Do you,
ETCH dash A dash SKE.
Yeah,
right?
that's
you
mine.
You remember the dashes? I did too. Well, they're gone. There's no dashes.
That's right.
In Etch a
Yeah.
Sketch.
Yeah, I think I knew that one.
It went the way of the Kit Kat dash. And the way of the cake
Yeah,
sauce.
exactly.
Somebody in the chat room asking, do you think that Mickey Mouse and these creatures lose their suspenders at the same time that the fad of saggy pants became popular? So you got two things hitting kind of the same mark. We find S's all the time. Here's a case where, just like suspenders, the hyphens are missing. So how do you explain the groups? I mean, why are things in groups? Brian perhaps has some insight on that. It doesn't make sense. You know, why would things happen in groups like that? Why would there be several words changed, you know, with an S, and several suspenders, and suspenders starts with an S, and sketch starts with an S? You know, what? What's your thought?
Hey, Brian, awesome broadcast with Steve JMO today. That was awesome. I watched the whole thing. It was really awesome. You guys covered a lot of stuff. Just wanted to say that.
Oh, thanks. As far as the patterns, I don't know. I know we all notice a lot of them, and it's just this. It's so prevalent. You can kind of get lost in it because, yeah, there's all the S's. There's the stuff with the double L's. There's the A's that change to E's. There's the apostrophes that pop up everywhere. There's just all types of stuff. And as far as suspenders, there's not just multiple suspenders. There's multiple cases of missing sunglasses. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And I don't really know what the patterns mean, man. It's got me fucking perplexed, bro.
I wonder if there's any relationship to the Schumann resonance that people talk about. Do you put any stock in that thought?
A lot of other channels do. I don't know. I'm not one of them that covers them. I mean, Moneybags, you might know a couple of channels that cover that, right? I don't really cover the Schumann resonance.
I
So.
looked into it. I think it could be related, but I haven't looked into it enough to say it is. But
Yeah.
I know Dark Wolf Dan, he believes 100% that it is. I guess he's looked at it enough and sees correlations with the human resonance and the Mandela effect. I don't necessarily see that myself, but I believe that it could be connected. Definitely, yes.
I mean,
do think it's tied into like the physical realm in some way, you know, because we live in this sort of confined material existence. That maybe it could have something to do with, you know, the correlation of time with matter or whatever. I don't know.
Well, or if it's, you know, if the Earth's vibration or whatever is rising or lowering, that could affect us. Maybe not cause the Mandela effect, but affect us in a way to put us at a vibration where we could perceive it easier.
Oh, that's what you guys were talking about today, wasn't it? Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think so. I seem to recall something along those lines, but yeah.
Well, it's interesting that, you know, when you talk about these waves and these troughs, and that, you know, that we do see spikes and we do see this kind of, you know, activity from that, you know, graphing of that system. Is it, you know, is it possible that there's a time distance between those that you guys have identified? Like, you know, is there any way towards looking towards when the next wave of Mandela effects is going to come down, and how does that wave start to happen upon us? Is it like, you know, because I haven't rode, I'm still riding my first wave, so to me everything's new, you know, but it go ahead.
I was going to say they seem to correlate with the moon. Cycles of the moon.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really looked real deep into it, but the final blood moon of the blood moon tetrad that happened in 2014 and 15, on the final blood moon of the 4 blood moons is in September of 2015, that's when the Mandela effect really took off on the internet. And then I've kind of noticed, like with these, with what do you got? You got all these different moons now. You get the strawberry moon and the moon, the wolf moon. you got all these names of moons, but I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at the moon correlation, but it seemed at one point in my research there was something with the moon, but I haven't really looked into it real deep.
That's compelling.
That's
Did you guys see the Ford versus Ferrari change? Changed to just V instead of versus?
I just watched Blaze's video on it, but I wasn't familiar with the movie at all. But that's typical Mandela. I mean, the V.
That was a big one for me.
The
I was like,
yeah.
Because I watched that movie, I loved it, and it was always versus, and then I looked again on my DVR type thing, and it was like V, and I was like, what? That's not what it said before.
Yeah, so, there's the S dropping off again, right?
With the S drop, yeah.
Same with man versus food. It's always man versus
Batman v Superman.
Well,
instead of versus. Everyone knows it was versus.
Yeah, and it's another. It's also not just the title change. It's also another change to the rules of the English language a bit. Because what Blaze showed in the video is now V is a recognized abbreviation of verse. Not where I come from. It was always VS.
Right. Yeah, it was always VS before. Or you could spell the whole word out, but I never. V was rarely used, if ever.
When I see just a V like that, I think Roman numeral number 5. I mean,
yeah.
So
it's always recognized in English language as a abbreviation of verses.
That's what Blaze said in his video. He showed it on the Google real quick. I didn't go to verify it, but I'm assuming he looked it up. He said that the V is now known as an abbreviation for verses. Not in my lifetime, only in these Mandela hacked up movies. But if they change the rule, which we've seen happen,
or just V and not VS.
No, there's no S. It's just V.
Just a V.
It looks very strange.
VS is not even
I don't anymore. I don't know if that's been eliminated. I think maybe there's 2 options now. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there's 2 options.
Just like with the apostrophe S after an S in a proper name, which is accepted English now, like Bridget Jones's Diary. It's like Jones.
Yeah, Jones is
an apostrophe and then an S. You would never do that back in the day. You would just put an apostrophe after the S.
Exactly. Yeah, it was just an apostrophe. That's what I remember too. Yeah, I did find that strange too, that all of a sudden everything's got an apostrophe S after every S.
That just doesn't even look right to me. Ford V.
There was a context that you would do it, but it was very rare in like in English like sentence grammar, but it was like only in very rare circumstances. Otherwise, you normally just put, if it's possessive, you would just use the S.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not familiar with the Ford v Ferrari, but can you bring up man versus food, AJ?
Yeah. Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
Zimmerman. His name totally changed for me, bro. Zimmerman is what it is.
Yeah, Zimmerman. That changed.
Now it's Zimmer. Or I don't even know.
A lot of people.
He's from Minneapolis, right by where I live, kind of close by. And it was always Zimmerman. I always remember that.
Yeah, you brought that up.
I don't know why I get that wrong.
You brought that up before, and it was, man. Oh.
Yeah, I went up to the Twins game up in the cities, and he has a restaurant up there, and it was, Zimmer, and I had to look twice. I was like, what? Because I always thought it was Zimmerman, so I was like really weirded out by that.
Not Elton
in real
Brown.
time. It was a really weird feeling. You ever get that like in real time where it's changed and you don't even really realize it really changed, and then you're like, wait a minute, something's not right here. You do it twice. You do a second take. You have to like, is my memory correct or not? Because that's happened with me,
like that for me
many times.
Who are we looking for here?
Does he have a Twitter handle? Anybody can tweet him up and say, what happened to your last name?
He'll be like, it was always that way. I guarantee it. He'll just be like, no, it was always that way.
Yeah, I don't.
And actually, other people will say that.
Will say that their name changed.
It was always that way.
Fields, Reeves, the Summers. I don't think any of them will say, no, my name used to have an S and it's gone now.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
they're not aware.
And Brian, you talked about that Panic at the Disco guy who realized his own song had changed, and he was like,
well, you know who could actually describe that better is Moneybags. He's the one that did the video on it. I was kind of just telling you what I saw in Moneybags video. Moneybags.
Right.
Yeah,
some Bernstein stuff he said or whatever.
Different shows saying that it was a Bernstein thing. That's what he said. because
Yeah.
he was aware of that, and then he couldn't explain how his own song had changed. Then he said
Right.
he sang it both ways. So, but he
That's
came out
crazy.
first saying it changed, and then he says, "Well, I've sung it both ways," just to try and somehow make himself be okay with it. I guess I don't know why he had to say that. But he did acknowledge that he thought it was different. He thought his own song had a different lyric in it.
Insane.
That's almost as loopy as the Darth Vader actor saying his own lines the wrong way.
Well, this one's even different because he's like recognizing the Mandela effect. He kind of like mocks himself. He's like, it's like a Berenstain thing, Mandela effect. Ooh, and then he's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Again, when you
Or Mick Jagger getting his lyrics wrong.
well, like, you know, how do they get an entire neighborhood wrong in Centralville?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Central.
Yeah,
I'm tell me about it, bro. I'm living it.
it's my favorite. It's one of my favorites. It absolutely is.
That's literally one of the craziest ones I know. Even though they're getting crazier now though. Like, I mean, they're getting like
Centerville.
in your face, you know. Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe that.
I saw the mobile phone video. I was like, oh my gosh, Centerville. I nearly fell off my chair. I thought about Brian the first time I heard that. I saw that. I was like, Brian, Centerville. Oh my
They
god.
said it like 7 times in that video.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
man.
So when is this, you know, happens to a town near you, what do you do? I mean, I'm sure you've got probably oodles and oodles of just messed up scenarios where I would think that it would just happen continuously. So it starts with one thing, and then is it contagious? Is the Mandela effect contagious?
It started with the neighborhood, but the river changed names too in my city.
So the river changed as well.
That's right.
Yeah, the river is the Merrimack River, and it was Merrimac, and now it has a CK at the end. And because the name of it changed the entire valley because it's the Merrimack Valley based off the river. So all the businesses that said Merrimack Valley Orthopedics or whatever, take your pick, right? They all say Merrimack with the CK now, but there's so much residue. I mean, even the URLs of some of these businesses have it just with the C. I mean, there's businesses from the police department. I mean, residue from the police departments, everything. And my kid goes to Merrimack College. It's changed. It has a CK now. It ended in a C, bro.
Merrimack is an Indian word, and it ends with a C.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we're being shown the truth.
There's even historical houses because Lowell's real old. There's these old historical houses with different names, but they, you know, like you can't knock down these houses that's preserved type of thing, and they'll have a little plaque on it.
Yeah.
There's a Merrimack house, and it's just a C.
Like,
yeah, because it's a native word. I mean, that's where that word came from.
Yeah, with the C.
You're all across the nation. I mean, there's a Merrimack River in Missouri. There's a Merrimack River in Illinois.
Now, I wonder if those rivers change too, though. I wonder if the spelling has changed.
Missouri hasn't. My sister lives on it.
Patrick, you brought up an interesting point. Is this Patrick brought up an interesting point about, you know, he's wondering if this is kind of some truth, you know, in a way there's a truth being revealed here. Is that kind of what you were basically saying, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if a lot of the Mandela effect is the truth being shown to us, or, you know, I mean, we're all trying to figure out what's going on, but that's the thing is, there's lots of things that a lot of people think of. I tend to think that it's trying to show us truth.
I think maybe it's
like
trying to show us
the truth. This place is evil.
Yeah, maybe it's trying to show us something about the nature of our reality, or the physical reality. You know, that maybe it's not as solid or
that's all I gotta say. This place is evil.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's true.
I think the gates of hell have been lifted wide open, and we're being shown the truth for some reason. I don't know why, but.
Well, yeah, maybe it's showing us that it's a deception or something like that. I don't know. Well, it is interesting.
My opinion is this is just a theory. Anybody listening, theory. I can't prove this. All right, all I can prove is this is happening. But my theory is a lot of this is created by a consciousness. A lot of it is signs from the creator. And the reason the creator would send us signs, I think, is to let us know that this is not the physical reality we've been meant to believe it is. It's more of a spiritual realm, but it's like the devil's trick on top of God's created earth with all this artificial stuff that they've got. Everything from the media to the food to the medicine to the music. It's all fake. You know what I mean? And
Maybe it's showing us like some sort of veil that we're perceiving this reality behind, and like it's
I agree with that.
something like that.
well, it's showing us that there's more than just this meat suit we're trapped in. We're going
Right,
to spiritually
exactly,
graduate to the
exactly.
next realm. And when we see
Right,
that, I think that's what it is. I don't know.
But okay, so
You always say that, and I agree 100%.
to that point,
What's that?
to that point though, which again,
Yeah.
especially from the Great Awakening aspect of things, what is the truth? How do we determine what it is? Was it etch a sketch with hyphens, or is the truth etch a sketch without hyphens?
Well, that's the paradigm, isn't it? Because what if I come up to you and say C-3PO has always been all gold, and you say no, he's always had a silver leg? Who's right?
I think it's an individual thing, honest.
Exactly.
Have you
No, that's a
ever
great
noticed-
point, though. That's 100% true.
Have you ever noticed that it seems like certain cultures are more affected than others?
Oh yeah. Well, definitely
Because
cultures.
I've been going through my historical stories and stuff of the Blackfeet Nation, and I haven't found one effect at this point. And I've been going through it for almost 3 years now, and I have not found one effect. I don't know if anybody else has been going through any cultural, historical facts in their culture, but I haven't found any in the Blackfoot Nation. Now, I don't know if Indian nations are, anywhere in Europe or
I know in Mexico they've dug up a bunch. I listen to some Spanish channels and they have a bunch of Mexican culture Mandela effect,
Oh, nice.
as well as in China.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that a lot with
I know.
is that down
Spanish
in,
speaking. They were
is that like in central Mexico, or is that down where the native tribes, like where the
Mexico, Peru.
Aztecs were, and that's what I was.
Well, I don't know where in Mexico, but I know in Mexico, I know a few myself. There's a famous guy for kids, and his song changed. And I've asked a bunch of people, and they told me the old way of Mexican people. And then in Peru, in my wife's country, one of the most iconic movie quotes of all times is different, and it's totally different.
But is it the modern or is it the old history?
Oh, it's
That's what I'm
1980,
asking.
like an 80s movie.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Time.
I'm going back into the old stories, like the creation story, where the mother gave twins and then the earth was born on the back of the turtle. I'm going back in the old story.
Okay.
And there's no changes. Like the Bible has changes, but for some reason our historical stories of the Blackfeet, none of those have changed.
Wow.
Yeah, that is an interesting
None of
question.
them
Why
have
something's changed.
at all.
Right.
Yeah,
That's fascinating.
I feel like it's targeted.
Yeah, it is interesting how it targets certain things and not others.
Yeah.
It's like certain cultures are targeted, but others aren't.
That's interesting.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, the open prophecy has not changed. That prophecy has not been touched. It's word for word exactly like it was 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You would think
so why
that.
has this not had any changes, but the Bible has.
All right. Well, the King James is it? I don't know, so you guys will have to educate me. Was it just the King James Bible that changed, or was it the whole translation from all the way back? I mean, you guys know that, Brian?
What? As far as the KJV changes, I heard that in Hebrew they're still the same, but I haven't verified that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I heard also.
Sure.
I heard the Hebrew was still the same.
I would believe.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I find that's fascinating too. That it was just the King, because I was just thinking about that, the King James Bible, and
It seems to be under attack from what I've
somebody
seen.
mentioned how they encoded like LeBron James getting a certain points or something on King James's birthday today. I thought that was kind of, I don't know, fascinating that they would try to tie that in with something. But
What's that called? Gematria?
I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Now, Damien in the chat says the Dead Sea Scrolls have actually changed. So, I mean, I don't know.
Oh.
The Dead Sea Scrolls have?
Oh, they did. Okay, yeah.
So
I
that
think I
sounds
heard that
targeted.
somewhere else too. So
I mean, I haven't checked that out, but I know Damien's usually pretty up to snuff on his Mandela research. So,
right. No, he's probably right. I think that sounds right from what I've heard too. Probably all the way back. I think
Something that really blows me away is that in a couple hours, in a couple, and we're all in different spots, but in the next few hours, it's going to be 1 month to the day since Kobe's accident. I can't believe it's been a month.
that was a quick month.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
it was, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, it felt like last week, bro. It was like,
Wow.
Time is flying.
It really
so
is.
fast right now.
it is.
More than
Yeah, it
ever.
is. It is.
I lose time. I mean, literally lose time. I can get up and then 4 hours later and I haven't done anything.
So
Drink a cup of coffee.
that kind of brings me to
Yeah,
another
the time
question
thing-
for all of you too, because
It kind of feels like
all of us are kind of
Go ahead.
in the same age bracket, right? Like, I mean, for the most part, we're all on that cusp of the same, generation.
Yeah.
We've obviously got the youngest in the room and we've got the oldest in the room, but we're all kind of generally in that bracket. Now,
None of us.
did
yeah.
these?
Well, I'm 32.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, you're a baby.
Yeah, you're.
But I grew up with all this stuff, so I know it changed. When I listen to like Berenstain Bears or the Mr. Rogers, like I grew up with that. I wouldn't remember that wrong as a kid. Like it wasn't like ages ago. So like
Did I miss
hits
the
really home
question
for me.
or what?
No,
Maybe.
he hasn't
Sorry.
made the question yet.
Yeah,
He
maybe.
just said
Sorry,
that
go
we're
ahead.
all basically in the same age group.
It would.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Would that mean that the younger generation, like I have teenage boys. I know Moneybags, you have a teenager. Do the teens, are they as affected by Mandela effects being younger?
Yes,
I
I
think a
have
lot.
grandchildren that walk around and say, "Look, there goes the Matrix again." I mean, they'll see something in the store or something, and they go, "There's another glitch."
Honestly, though, they're probably more desensitized to it, don't you think, than we are? Because they were kind of.
I actually know many people
They
that have,
notice.
my
But
co-host.
maybe I'm wrong.
You guys know Karen, right? I think her kid might
Yeah.
have been the first one that brought a Mandela to her. I know it happened to one of my family members. And Moneybags, isn't that how you started? Didn't you say your kid brought it to your attention?
He watched the Shane Dawson video. Shane Dawson was one of the big people on YouTube to start talking about the Mandela effect.
Yeah, I think the kids know, man. The kids are smart. They pick up on it, and there are some kids making Mandela effect videos. You'll find more kids making Mandela effect videos than you will any other truth type of research. They're not making 9/11 videos.
Making Mandela videos. 12-year-olds. They're talking all the the ones we all heard about and stuff. The Looney Tunes and whatever, all the ones, the popular ones.
Pikachu.
Pikachu, that's a big one.
I just recently seen a video that had it has like the old telephones that you put that had the cords to the wall, the phones that were on the wall.
Yep.
And it had that extension like where you had to pull the wire. They're actually in vehicles.
Yeah.
That way, it's
that's
not
bizarre.
a CB anymore. It's I'm like, what the fuck is? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
what the hell is this shit?
My father.
What's up with the color TV?
My father was a contractor, and he had one installed in his truck.
No. Oh, what, that phone?
He had a phone. It was push button, but it had a corded handset.
Oh yeah, but not in 1940.
No,
Right,
it was
exactly.
in the 70s, but
Yeah.
he did have one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and JoJo's.
like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and the 1940 was. There's some people that are trying to debunk it and say, well, that's just CB technology. Well, not really, because they're actually literally showing you all the underground phone lines and the people at the telephone stations that are then putting it out to the radio towers, and that's how it radio signal.
Cassettes, RCA cassettes in the 50s. What? All they had was records. They didn't have cassette.
Yeah, and then they had those jukeboxes with like music videos that they used to play in like the cafes and all that. I thought that was really weird. And then you guys heard about that?
No.
They have these like they got these like MTV style, VH1 style,
I can't hear Biz
music
Whooper.
music video players, and they would have them way back now in like the 40, I think it was like the 50s and 60s and stuff, and they had color TVs going all the way back to the 40s now.
Patrick
So
can't hear
if
you,
that shocks
Biz.
any of you like it does me,
The first
because I never remember any of that.
actual music video, wasn't it made by Queen?
What video?
The first actual music video that became like an MTV basic, wasn't it made by Queen?
I think it was Video
I
Killed
don't
the
know.
Radio Star, isn't it? Wasn't that the first one? Or Dire Straits? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
Money
that was it.
Yeah.
Video killed the radio star.
Yeah,
whatever it
no, it was
Yeah.
Video killed the radio star
right? And then
in my
they,
home and in my
something
car.
like that. But anyways, that's what started MTV. There was
GTA.
there was nothing.
You sure it wasn't Max Headroom? Max Headroom.
well, he had a
That was
show.
way
Yeah, he
that
had
was
his
way
own
later on.
show. That's
Oh,
right.
It was like the 80s.
The other day,
So
But
now
he
when
had
we
that
take a look at the youth side of it, and we clearly see, as you pointed out, all of you agreeing that this is something the youth feels. How about just above our age generation? Just above that, in that, 60s up to 70s.
They're all affected, of course. They have even longer memories to base things off of, so you'd think they'd see more effects. But at the same time, I think they fight it. I think they fight it a little harder. I think it'd be a lot harder for them to accept it.
Well, for good reasons. Once you
Yeah.
start getting to that age, as Moneybags pointed out in the last Mandela Monthly that we did, that the funniest theory he's heard is that this is the early onset of Alzheimer's. So I would imagine that there's
They've been pushing that. They've been trying
Give
to
me a break.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
well, he didn't say he buys into the theory, but he suggested it as one theory
Well, I
that's
think they
out
pick
there.
up on the Sally Fields one, because that seems to that was a big one to me. But
That's huge for me.
yeah, that was huge for me too.
Vietnam vets and stuff. And we talk about the Mandela all the time, and we're talking about huge crowds. I mean, they closed down all the smoke shacks now, but we had smoking shacks. And I mean, there'd be 20 of us in there talking about it.
Josh from
And we're all
Oregon says, my parents are getting it, and they're in their 70s now. So in their 70s,
Wow.
and
That's huge.
that is pretty. You'd have to think that, the Kennedy assassination must be a really big one for somebody in that
Definitely.
age group.
It was for me. That's what woke me up.
That was big for
I
me.
watched it on TV.
Right.
You remember seeing it, Joe?
Yeah,
Although
that's
I
big.
wasn't there.
Yeah, I watched
Although
it on
I wasn't
TV in
there.
second grade. They brought the TV in, and we watched the whole parade on TV.
And you remember only 4 people in the vehicle.
Yep, that's all that was in there. The driver, and they had like a Secret Service guy sitting next to him, and then the Kennedys in the back seat.
And when did that effect change for you? When did you realize it?
That changed right away in the beginning when I first noticed the changes, and that was in 2012.
And is there any residue that exists on the Kennedy assassination? Is there anything that actually is, a residue for that?
The car that looks like the car that happened is at the museum. That car is the car that they were in. That one that they have at the museum.
And it's in the museum at the Ford Museum, right? That's the one you're talking about?
I think it's the transportation museum.
Or
isn't it?
Transportation Museum in Michigan.
Yeah, that's the car that they was driving in that day. But that's the only residue I've ever seen.
Is it possible that this was done by design? Let's just throw that theory out there for a second, that 200 years ago, as the country was being created and founded and fighting civil wars and whatnot, is it possible that some secret society or some organization or entity that has been in control a very powerful entity for many, many years, very wealthy. Is it possible that they saw this as an end game and spent the last 200 years orchestrating, these types of changes?
No, it's not possible because we still see things change in our possession. It completely dismisses that idea.
Got it. So when
Not only that, they can't be switching their bodies, the inside of our bodies.
Unless they had the
You know what I feel like?
that they could use to change things. Unless whoever they is, has the technology to change things, then they could be changing them as we speak.
You know what I think might be going on? I think maybe they've tried everything else to fool everybody, and they're reaching the end of the line, so they're trying this last ditch effort to say like, see how many people will go for the changes, and like, I don't know, just a theory, but maybe they're getting desperate or something. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's individual and our frequencies. We're tuning into more stuff. It has to do with us as individual people. I don't think it's a one reality that's being edited, and I just think it's an individual thing because we each experience reality in our own way, perceive it our own way.
But we can all see the changes, though, can't we? I mean, you see the changes, I see the
We have a
changes.
collective
We all see the
reality
same
we
changes.
agree upon, but you and I might see a car pass by, and you say, "Hey, look at that bright red car," and I say, "No, it's orange." So we don't see the same things. That's what I've learned is we're not seeing and hearing the same things. We never have heard, and there's been a lot of fights between married couples and boyfriend and girlfriend fights. Like, hey, I said this. No, you didn't. You might not have heard what they thought they told you.
Well, and you were doing those videos on the Yanny and Laurel type thing, and how two people can hear two different things at the same time. I thought that was very interesting too, because that speaks right to the point you're making right now. That it was,
lots of videos on things you can just choose to hear this, you can choose to hear that. There's an incredible one with what's her name? Some female rap artist. I can't think of her name right now. She has a song where you can hear.
Azalea Banks or whatever, or no?
No,
Or no, that was something else. Okay.
paper chaser song.
No, Azalea Banks was that recent Mirror Mirror residue, I think.
Right. Yeah, that was it. Thanks,
I gotta
Brian.
go.
Yeah, I
Love you
remember
guys.
that.
Take care.
Hey, later, Patrick.
Later, Patrick.
Bye.
Good to
Bye,
see
guys.
you.
Thanks, Patrick.
You could bring 6 people into a room.
So
They've all witnessed the exact same crime. And you're going to get 6 extremely different witness testimonies.
that's very true. No.
Not one of them is going to match up. Not a single one. And that's how I correlate with the Mandela effect. Everybody's going to see it in a different way. Because it depends on your consciousness and what you've been paying attention to, Span. It just depends on all of these different factors.
Now, do you remember ever seeing this group of magicians that went on to America's Got Talent, and they pulled up Howie Mandel out of the audience, and
I remember that.
They did I think they called it phenolophy or something, the art of reading the brain, and they have these cards, right? And he's not going to be able to read the cards, but then when they show the cards to the judges, everybody, even the cameras, can see the cards, but Howie seriously can't decipher it.
These cards with words written on them, and these words all pertain to you, Howie. Okay? I will once again pressure phenol you. You what? I'm gonna squeeze your head. Taking away his ability to read. Can now no longer read. Right. Judges, yes or no? Can you read this word?
Yes.
Yes. Howie, yes or no? Can you read this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and sound it out.
What's not? Cannot.
Okay, so in essence, that's a magic trick. There's a solution to it, right? That it's an illusion. It's not real. But everybody saw the word comedian, right? When he turns that around, you saw the word. It says comedian. But when he looks at it, when Howie looks at it, he doesn't see that word. That word for Howie has changed. And if you were seated in Howie's position, it would change for you. Okay? And I'm being absolutely upfront. I can't, tell you how the trick is done. I could tell you, but like Moneybag said, I'd have to kill you. But no, the reality is that it is an illusion, and it's a wonderful one, and it's a trick. So when certain Mandela effects occur, not just a trick of a magician, but a trick within our own mind versus other legitimate Mandela effects. Is there a double? Is there a two-sided coin here, so to speak, where some Mandela effects are very truthful and are very, like, especially I would argue that the biblical changes, okay, versus okay, Brian, got your message, versus secular things. Okay, just to use the good versus evil argument for a moment, how do we distinguish what is trickery and what is reality when it comes to the Mandela effect? Especially if this is all part of the Great Awakening, especially if there's some sort of truth. Shouldn't we be gauging in some way? And shouldn't we be...
And that's one of the things that makes it so tough, is because it's happening on an individual and a collective level, both, not just one or the other. But continue. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
that does make it difficult.
I'm just curious your thoughts on that, because of course I look at everything from a magician's point of view. Have to, that's the way my mind thinks. So, I'm very intrigued when it comes to the changes that affect me so hard. And since I've met you, Moneybags, you've really affected my brain on numerous occasions, because I believe 100% there is something that is happening here. Whether or not I can put my finger on it is beyond me. I don't think I'm the one that's going to solve the Mandela effect. I quite honestly don't think anybody is. But
I wish you were.
But when I have,
make it a lot easier.
And are you talking about like the Yanni type thing, or are you talking about something else?
Well, just to be perfectly clear, I in no way do I think that the Mandela effect is a magic trick. Okay, I'm not making that correlation whatsoever. What I'm trying to illustrate is there a correlation?
Truth Seeker, what's up?
Oh, hi, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
In on you guys.
Yeah, that's the whole
you're
point.
here.
You're welcome to
We're not a minority anymore. Well, we're still minority, but not quite as much.
I'm looking at it from both sides, where I have to look at that and I have to say, okay, here's something that is an illusion, and here's something that's real. How can we know what's good, what's bad, what's illusion, what's real, what's not real,
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so, in a way, confounding at times.
That's why I went with the voting videos, because I figured I wanted to see, well, who's being affected. And then a lot of them, I noticed that 95% of the people were saying, hey, this was different for me. So to me, that was a Mandela effect. But then I did some videos, it was kind of 50-50. Almost 4 years have gone by. Some of my earlier videos, man, it's amazing. You go back and you see like 1,900 thumbs up and 200 down. And there's a lot of people affected by some of the changes.
Yeah, that was really revealing.
What's that?
What about the ones that are like a three-way split?
Oh, yeah, and then you have
There's another one that's a whole nother reality in between the two.
like Cheez-Its and Cheez-Its, ITS, ITZ.
Yeah, that was one for me.
Exactly.
Children remember ITZ. I remember ITS, but it's always been IT.
Isn't there a third way with that one too?
What's that?
Isn't there a third option with that one too?
Well, yeah, Cheez-Its with an S and Cheez-Its with a Z.
Z.
I remember it with an S, I think.
So do I. But the Z doesn't seem wrong in my mind. The Z doesn't seem wrong.
I remember the Z.
I remember.
Okay, yeah. I could be wrong too. That's the thing, is I can't always trust my memory 100%. I know what I think, but I'm probably wrong at least.
Yeah, and we all have double memories on a lot of this, and triple. Jiffy, I have a triple memory. FF does not look wrong to me. The GIF, and GIFFY.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one I remember, dude. Is the two Fs. I don't remember the Y, but I remember the GIF, and then I remember it changing to like J1F when I was like in 3rd grade or 4th grade, and I was like, and I noticed it at that time. That's like I have a memory of remembering that fact, even in grade school. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. And
Yeah, but what are you
I was
supposed
like,
to do?
man, that changed, dude.
Tell your parents, and then your mom might say, "Oh, that's
No.
nice. That's nice,
Yeah,
son."
no, I couldn't tell anyone, but it hit me like a ton of bricks even back then. You know, it hit me. That's why I remember it, because I remember thinking like, holy cow, like it was just GIF, and now it's just GIF with 1F, and I was like, that looks so weird. You know, that's not what I remembered from, you know, a few weeks earlier or whatever. And I was like, wow, it shook me a little bit, because I was like, that's strange. Like, is that it must have just been a brand change or what happened? But I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I'll never forget when I saw Jiffy change.
I thought it was totally weird.
It was like 2013. I saw Jiffy change to GIF.
Yeah, but the question is,
on occasion, rarely. But
Hey,
probably.
you know, you were asking, if old people were kind of how they saw it, right, Ripon?
Yeah.
And we were talking about JFK. Jen over here, the Truth Seeker 69, she's actually interviewed like 400 or 500 different veterans about the JFK Mandela effect. Maybe she could tell us about that.
Yeah.
Well, I asked my grandfather before he died, and that was in 2016, about JFK, and he had Alzheimer's even, but he knew there was 4 in the car. And from there, I decided to start asking the vets. Before that, I was asking generally people over 60. And I even did a whole JFK survey asking people across the board what they remembered, and 99% said 4. But then after that, I started focusing on the vets. Every time I came across one, I'd ask them. I had my camera on. I documented, took pictures of their hats and everything. Every one of them said 4, and they would name the people in the car. And they would say 4 with clarity, no hesitation. You know, not like some of them had to think about it, but mostly it'd be like 4, no problem. Yeah, that's the answer. And I found that to be very, very interesting. And I find it interesting also that adults have Alzheimer's at this particular time in our history, what's going on here. And you got the Mandela effect, and we would rely on them for a lot of this older information, but now we have Alzheimer's in our reality.
Or dementia, yeah.
I think that was meant to be here at this time. I think they knew the Mandela effect was going to happen. I don't think the Mandela effect that term for it is correct at all. This is more like the awakening effect. And either we're seeing the fruits of these bloodline families throughout these companies and logos and everything else, even the people who gave us our skeletal structure, the medical field, all these things are changing, possibly because they were all lies to begin with. I kind of am on that theory right now. The globe is all muffed up and changing left and right. Well, we know the globe's a lie. We're on a flat plane. So that makes sense. We can't trust the medical field and half the stuff that they've presented to us as real. Now we have organs showing up and things that are there. They're turning into all this different stuff and moving around. Our skeletal structure's changed. All the logos and corporations, these are all the bloodline families that run this stuff, the car logos and everything like that. It all goes back to the bloodline. So it's kind of like you'll know them by their fruits. Well, their fruits are not good, so they're changing. And we can see that now. That seems to be like that's the underlying thing to all this.
And Satan's the master of disguise, right?
Yes, he's the great deceiver. Yeah. That's what he does.
That's right.
This is bringing up the fact that we've been lied to, all this time. And again,
a big lie. JFK was a big lie. That whole thing, top to bottom, was a huge lie. No wonder that's all shifty now.
But now they're running out of lies, perhaps.
So for culture,
this is affecting everybody worldwide. It's biblical to us. That's the term we use. But I think I would assume, and I shouldn't even assume, but in their own culture, they would probably be seeing things within their own culture that has been a deceit all this time change.
And you look at Japan and look at Blaze's videos. I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case anyway. I don't know for sure.
The reason I come to this conclusion is because I could not figure out why the globe was shifting the way it was. Why are all these continents moving around and stuff? And then I can't just hit me one day. The globe is a lie. And then I realized all these other things are lies. These corporations that say they're putting out all this good FDA-approved stuff for us. It's all lies and bullshit. It's all poison.
Oh, yeah, they lie so much. I mean, NASA, they lie almost every time they talk, They act like we're all just going to believe it every time they say it,
The Drug Enforcement Agency turned to administration.
Yeah,
The
it's
Dragon
ridiculous.
Agency is corrupt.
What is
Yeah,
that?
and how about the Smithsonian Institute? How corrupt they
Institute,
are.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one blew my mind.
Just think of that today.
And
Well,
we know the Smithsonian
institution.
Institute is crooked as, all hell. So, of course,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
going to be nifty.
And both of those, actually, it's funny because both of those organizations specialize in keeping information from the public. NASA and Smithsonian, they both specialize in that practice of, concealing information from the general public. That's what they're good at. That's what they do. And the symbolism is everywhere. And yeah, well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm saying they're not just concealing information; they're both fabricating history.
That's right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, they're
lies.
putting out
Lies
disinformation.
and
Damn.
deceit.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah.
Well,
Now, the Bible, why is the Bible changing? Okay, well, first off, King James, who was a Mason or whatever the hell he was, gave us our Bible. And they left a
I was
whole
just talking
bunch
about
of
that.
stuff out. So, in
Right.
that respect, I could see it being shifty to let people know, if you're picking up on what I'm picking up on, hey, this Bible isn't everything that you need to know. There's a whole lot more. And they left stuff out and added stuff in, and that's why it's being shifty. I think this is just a really huge awakening for humanity, and they're trying to squash it and make us seem like we're the crazy ones when we're actually the ones who are picking up on the message that God's given us. We need
There
to
comes
wake
a
up.
point in time where you hide so much information from people that at some point the dam's going to burst, and then something's going to happen, and maybe that has something to do with the Mandela effect. Now I don't,
Well, they're
possible,
definitely not welcoming it. They're making us look like we're crazy, confabulating.
people are
all
waking
of our
up,
stuff
and they're freaking out. Yeah,
and
they're freaking out because
that
people
tells
are.
me that this has to be from God, because why would they fight against it so much? Why would they make us, the ones who can see it, look like crazy? And it says that in the secret covenant. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane.
Yep.
Right. I mean, we got to use it for good. We can, differ on the details, all that, but we need to try to use it to wake people up. At the bottom of at the end of the day, that's what it needs to be used for. Absolutely.
And clearly, our reality is not what we were told. It's malleable.
Exactly.
Things can change. Things that we thought were solid and stay in one state and couldn't change are changing. So
And
this
that's
is a huge wake up for humanity, and they're trying to stifle it.
Biggest fear
Change
is
things overnight.
us realizing our potential and realizing the spiritual nature of this realm and what this place really is. That's their biggest fear.
Exactly. That's why they hid flat
And
Earth
that's
from
what-
us all this time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what Brian Moneybags, you guys are out there doing, is alerting people to this, to wake them up, and AJ, you as well. So that's what we should be doing, and all you guys are doing that. So
What did you say, Moneybags?
Right.
I said I'm a little lost. Who's the they we're talking about?
Well,
Who
I
knows?
think
The people that are-
they used in that general term, but
maybe it doesn't matter, right? Maybe it doesn't matter who the they is, as long as we're waking up to what's really going on.
It'd be nice to know, Biz. I mean, it'd be nice to know who the they were.
there's many theys.
Yeah, and I don't
like
want to
for
put it all at their
instance,
feet, but obviously there is a control system here in play, don't you think? I
Well-
mean, it's not all them that's doing everything.
but
I don't think
but
that.
again, like
But
if
there is
we
a control
held
structure here.
if we held that
know?
we held that word from our own vocabulary, if we don't know a lot about the Smithsonian Institution, because for all my life I've been researching the Smithsonian Institute, and just found out like a week ago that it's changed, but they set very very stringent wheels in motion in the 1800s to hide the fact that we went through this country and we stole this land, and that we slaughtered the people that were here in the largest.
You should do a show on that, AJ.
What was that?
Well, I think you did one.
I did.
I said you should do a show about that.
I
Yeah,
did.
no, you did.
Yeah, I've
You should
done.
do some more though, because
I've got more planned.
Those records are hidden.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And they perpetuated this lie that the people that were here before us were all very nomadic. And when the Smithsonian first started to isolate a discussion about this topic in the 1830s after the Indian Wars and whatnot, they kind of started to go out a little bit too far on the edge with that this was an advanced civilization that lived here. And then somewhere around the 1840s, 1850s, there was a mega shift in the information that they were putting out and a mega hiding of the information that they were collecting. Things like gigantic skeletons, things like earthworks and effigy mounds. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of effigy mounds that were destroyed across this land. And some of them still exist today, but all for that purpose of spreading that mindset that the people that were on this land were separatists. They were not connected with each other. They were all nomadic, and they were all, there was no diffusion amongst them. And of course, we know now today with archaeological evidence that that's a lie, or that that's been Mandela effect changed, one way or the other. I think it works itself hand in hand. Go ahead.
Yeah. And they gave us his story, and his story is shifting all over the place. So, and the they would be the powers that be, the ones who run the world, run this show on the stage that we're on. And, history is just all over the place now with tech before its time, crazy aeronautics things going on during the wars. There's all these new crazy inventions that weren't around to win the wars and stuff. The Japanese balloon bombs coming in at the end of World War II after we bombed the crap out of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They're going to try and send balloon bombs over. It's ridiculous. All this stuff, Statue of Liberty. Crazy.
The human body.
All the war history.
Yeah.
The whole war history is different. I mean, look at all the stuff with the Germans and us. They've been kicking our ass since 1916 now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the Black Tom, that just blows my mind.
It's the biggest one for me.
I mean, that just showed up for me a couple years ago, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
And my father's family, just 3 generations before him, came over from Europe. I'm sorry, they landed, and it wasn't Liberty Island. I'm sorry. And the Statue of Liberty was where they were at.
Yeah.
They wrote it down in letters. I mean, this is written down. I wish I could get my hands on them. I don't know who's got them.
Well, interesting enough, my mom has been to the torch at the Statue of Liberty in 1960 with my grandfather. But she remembers it on Liberty Island. How strange is that?
Yeah.
I was there. When I was there, there was only one island. There wasn't two. So I don't know. I swear it was Ellis Island. But when I was there, the Statue of Liberty was there. It was on Ellis Island, and there was no Liberty Island.
No.
There was only one island, and we took a ferry over to it.
Yep.
So why don't we have more residue? Why is there not more residue of family trips and photos and things that should be
photos change. You can't have a real photo. If you have a real photo,
I've got photos that have changed from all
like
kinds
the Thinker
of stuff.
statue.
Yeah, you can't have a real photo. A real photo of any Mandela effect, it's going to change. If it's of the original thing that's changing, not of a residue. So if you have a picture of the actual real thing, like the Thinker statue or the Statue of Liberty, your photo is going to change.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If it's
When you have that
hand-drawn, it'll stay the same.
There's that whole class in front of the Thinker statue doing the correct pose, and the statue's like this. I mean,
like 100
you're all posing right. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Sorry,
one.
my phone died, guys.
That one
But
blows
if
me
it's
away.
hand-drawn, it won't change. Like, he did not have the pigment or the painting. He didn't have the money for that.
AJ.
Yeah.
Was he the guy that cut off his ear? Cut his ear off?
Van Gogh.
If the thinker starts dabbing,
Van Gogh.
get me off this planet.
If the thinker all of a sudden has a
Juanito,
bomb.
I haven't heard you. I haven't
I've been
heard
ready to
you.
leave a long time.
I haven't heard Juanito like all night. Your Lucid Dream show, I really enjoyed that the other night, or like a week ago, whenever that was that it was on.
Yeah.
Oh, I have like 7 that are that I'm gonna be putting out there. The one that I just finished getting up from, guess who it involved again?
The Rock.
No, Freddie.
Oh yeah.
No, this was like just now. Like that's why I'm kind of when I got up from it, I was kind of groggy. I'm like,
Oh, so you were late because you were over there playing with Freddie all night.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like relentless. It was like, oh my
He
god.
dreams with such remarkable characters. He always has somebody. And again, he he has this way of telling the dreams that is remarkable. Like, it's like he's telling you a real story. Like, you're listening to, I've never heard anybody tell a dream that way. But somebody in the chat room also had suggested using astral projection as a technique to try and uncover, or remote viewing, I should say, was what it was. It wasn't astral projection. It was remote viewing, which, kind of one and the same. But I would love for you to take that task on. When we did the show on Antarctica the other night, Juanito says, I'm going to go to the hollow earth. Did you actually make it there? Did you get into the hollow earth in a dream?
That day I didn't.
No, but you've been there?
No. Because that's the funny thing is there's so many things on my list, my to-do dream list or whatever, or astral projection, that it's kind of overwhelming at times. Like for instance, the last dream, I didn't set out to dream about this dream, but I call it clean the floor. So in this dream, I was in a mall, right? And I'm looking and the mall was all dirty. And I said, I'm not going to be doing this on my own. Who do you think was in my dream that was going to help me? Scarlett Johansson and Millie Bobby Brown. And I was like, yeah, that's what I said. I was like looking and I'm like, Avengers and 11, Stranger Things. So I'm here sweeping the floor, and 11, Millie Bobby Brown says, why are you sweeping the floor? You could just use your abilities. So she goes like this, and then all the dust, everything is being cleaned. I was like, I want to try that. So we're all doing the same thing, with our telekinetic powers, I guess. And we're like jumping. I'm jumping, doing like the back flips or the front flips, like Green Arrow. And it was crazy. So when I got up from the stream, I was like, damn.
Have you ever had a Mandela effect that's
I've had
in
some
your
crazy dreams too lately.
Have you ever had a Mandela effect that's in your dream, Moneybags? Have you ever dreamt of a Mandela effect, or had a Mandela effect in your dream, and then you wake up and you find out it's not been changed? Have anybody ever experienced that?
I've dreamt about the Mandela effect that I remember.
Anybody else?
Can't say that I have.
No, I haven't. But I did.
Sorry, I had like a lucid dream that was like very Mandela-ish, like things that were going on in the dream, but no specific like Mandela effects we could talk about, type of thing. Sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
That'd be so crazy.
2 years ago, there were some Bible changes happening, and I had the Bible out. I was looking through it all, and I put it down next to me on the nightstand and went to sleep. Woke up the next morning with a crazy migraine headache. Looked at my phone, saw that there was another Bible change Mandela effect. I forget which one it was. And then also found out that this side of my hair on my left side, which is the side where the Bible was next to me on the stand overnight, was shorter than this side of my hair. What? And I have no idea how it got that way. I actually had to go out and buy hair extensions for this side of my hair. And I cut my own hair. So that was bizarre. And this lasted all day. I don't know. Until this day, I have no clue how my hair got short on one side of my head. It was short like 3 inches. 3 straight inches.
And I'm just hearing this story now. Why?
Oh, yeah. But Brian, remember the Mandela effect I told you about last night about Dallas, the show? I was curious to know if Moneybags has ever watched the show Dallas from back in the day. And if so, do you know about the Mandela effect, and have you done a survey on it?
I watched Dallas. Good show.
No, I'm not aware of any Mandela effects with Dallas.
I remember that show. I never watched it, but I remember it.
Okay, so on the intro, they show the property itself, where they live, and they have the fence and the nice house and everything, and the ranch. What color was the fence?
White.
Yeah, it was white, wasn't it?
White. I think white. The house and white.
I remember the White House. I don't necessarily remember the fence.
Okay.
I remember it was a big long fence. Yep.
Yeah, it was white fence and a white house.
I guess white. That would be my guess.
It's black.
It's black.
Yeah, it looks so crazy. I didn't even know till last night. I was on StreamYard and I changed my picture to J.R. Ewing, like my avatar, just joking around. So we're like singing the Dallas theme and stuff. Dun, 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 dun. And she's like, what about the black fence Mandela effect? I'm like, what Mandela effect are you talking about? She's like, it changed years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know that one.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm looking
a lot
it
of
up
people
right
watch
now.
that show.
I haven't seen this yet.
Yeah. That's a pretty major show.
So
yeah,
it-
because in the
it's the
intro,
older
you'll
one,
see
right?
the fence is black. and it's
the
always
old-
been black.
Yeah, I
It's the
see
old
it.
Dallas, not the newer one.
Old
Yeah, the
classic
old
Dallas.
one from the 90s or 80s, whatever.
Well, remember when Bobby died and it was all a dream? Maybe he got Mandela
It
affected.
was all a dream.
He created
Wasn't it
the-
JR that got shot? Who shot
Yeah,
JR?
who shot JR?
Yeah, that's nuts. It's a totally black fence.
How about the airplanes engines? Like
Yeah.
moving out 75% and then changing again and moving way out. And now there's even new planes out where they have the engines off the wings and stuck on the side of the plane now.
Yeah, we
I guess
talked
those little
about that.
Yeah, that's
things
crazy.
sticking out, too.
Yeah,
Those little
that is a
things
black
kept
fence.
saying,
It's a black fence, yes. And then the house is white. They always had a white fence.
It stands out. It's like the Nirvana video. You know about that one, right, AJ?
No.
You know the Nirvana Unplugged, like before Kurt Cobain died on MTV, the most popular Unplugged performance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you probably already know the answer to the question because what we're talking about. Well, what color are all the candles?
White, weren't they?
Yeah, they
They
were
were all white. Now they're all
Yeah.
black. They're all black. If you go watch Nirvana Unplugged, all
No
the candles around them are all black. It's so crazy because when you don't see the flame, you almost don't even see the candles because they're black and it's a dark room when they did that acoustic performance. Yeah. Hey, E-Man,
That's
what's
so
up, dude?
Hey,
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing?
good. How are you? Welcome to
I'm doing just fine.
the lounge. Good to have you here. Have you been listening so far?
Yeah, I've been here. I've been listening to you. So I said I have nightmares and dreams. I be ready to wake up.
What do you ever have a Mandela effect in your nightmare or dream?
Yeah,
You do, huh?
all the time.
Wow.
Sometimes,
Really?
every time
Wow.
I have them, though, saying like I try to turn like I'm Superman or something. I don't know. I think that's just a self-conscious defense mechanism. Because every time I think I'm in trouble, I'm always flying.
It's funny how in dreams we can sort of control our thoughts differently.
Yeah, the
I just had a weird dream the other night.
the entire dream aspect of it, from a lucid dream standpoint, that's really weird. That I would think that all of you would have said what E said. Yeah, I dream of Mandela effects all the time because we spend so much of our day thinking about this discussion. You would think that in our mind's relaxation time that the discussion would work itself well into dreams too.
You know why?
Well,
Go ahead.
Well,
I'm
what
sorry.
I do, the Mandela effect, I don't really think about it as much anymore because it's like the shock is over. I already know it exists. My whole concept now is where do we go from now? What's going to happen now? What's
Yeah, what
the
happens
step?
next, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
What does happen next, Brian? What's your thoughts? Truth Seeker,
Well-
Moneybags. What happens next?
Well, I knew all of this was a pre-planned situation. I was saying on my channel like a year ago about they're planning things on the 2020. I knew they wanted to bring down the economic situation so that they can cause a one world government. And I believe all of these things that's going on has ties to it. Even with the president spending $797 billion in January for a so-called space force. So it's either something they're going to project into space or it's something that they're preparing for to happen in space. Because like even with this coronavirus stuff, I didn't know how they was gonna disrupt a society. I thought it may be a war or civil unrest, but this clearly is a. I look at it like a puzzle or like a chess game. All the pieces are moving in the same direction. They all have the same goal. It just Mandela effect is just a little part of the pie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good insight. I think you're right on. Personally, I agree.
And we're going to do a show this weekend on the marvelous adventures of Baron Trump and the story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'll be good.
Oh, no. That's so trippy, dude.
Yeah.
That is so trippy.
Yeah.
And I got to say, it's so suspect that his uncle is connected to Tesla and with that whole thing, because to me that just makes me go, right. I mean, how tight is the circle,
Yeah.
And that family is part of these societies going way back from, the 1800s and stuff. So they've been in the elitist circles up in New York and such. So
of course,
but
gotta look at that as well.
You know the funny thing about that situation though.
What's that?
I ain't hear about Elon Musk until about 2014.
You never heard about it?
Now it seems like he's like.
Well, he just exploded on the scene, didn't he?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I say it's like he's been around doing all of this magnificent stuff for ages. That's what it seemed like. It's like he's just been plopped into our reality.
Yeah, well, he's been pushed so hard by the media, He's been pushed so hard by these people that want to put him out there, and it's Elon, everyone. It's like, it's funny, they really play on that collective consciousness element, because they got the whole media apparatus at their disposal. So if they want to put something out there, they do it all by the same tune, all by the same note,
Right.
They'll do it all at the same time, and yeah, it'll be a concerted effort, and if you got your eyes open, you'll recognize that. So it is interesting, because he really they set him down with was that guy Joe Rogan, and they did that interview, got like millions of views and all that, and kind of really stuck him right in the conversation. And of course before that it was all about SpaceX and that whole thing. So yeah, you're exactly spot on, because they've been really working him into the conversation now for quite some time.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
It's an interesting observation.
I think we're at the end of the cycle. I think we're at the end of a cycle, and this Mandela effect is part of that cycle. They can't stop it. They know the cycles, and they knew this was coming, and they're going to do everything they can to try to either make us look crazy, not try to see something.
And that's the point I was going to say. I was trying to make that point earlier, because I was like, I think they're running out of other stuff, and now with this stuff happening, it's like the end of the line. I feel like it's the end of the end of the Matrix or whatever they want to try to try to present to us. I don't know. I feel like it's a breaking point of some kind,
Well, and look at the measure of distraction they're using, like coronavirus and all this stuff like that. And oh my God, you're gonna die any second, quarantine and all this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all fear. You got the wars popping off now. It's all this stuff. And they're getting everybody on edge. They're getting everyone on edge. You can see.
And the thing is,
we killed Big Daddy.
I always take the biblical side of the thing. All of it is, it's like almost boiling over. It's like everything is lining up just like seem like the Bible says. These viruses, these plagues, and the enemy can't control without fear. And so they use the coronavirus for fear, so that, people are willing to give up their own personal privacy, their own will to be safe.
A scared population is a malleable, controllable population. Right? When you're scared, you'll be more willing to listen to authority. Somebody telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Well, and to be perfectly fair to that discussion, that's happening all over the world right now. There are several people in China at the moment that have not left their homes since January 31st. Okay, so when you take the coronavirus aside and you think about a nation that's quarantined, okay, that has not left their homes since January 31st, we're talking about a whole different epidemic. They can't go to the grocery store. They get a number that they get to call, and then once every 2 weeks, food arrives for their family. So we're talking about a huge epidemic outside of the coronavirus in China right now, just on starvation alone. And now that same quarantine has now happened in Italy, and now it's in Japan.
Right.
So
now it's in the now Brian, you were talking about that. You're going to do a show on that later? About the coronavirus, how the media just popped off with that?
Yeah,
so
start in like 30 minutes.
It's
30 minutes, yeah.
To me,
but and watch this. This is the whole thing about that coronavirus stuff. It's I see when it first started happening, it seemed fishy anyway. Because when I did my research, just I think it was 2016, 12,000 people in just the United States died from the flu. And so the numbers wasn't adding up to me in the first place. For all of this, the closure of countries and all that. And if y'all know about the Agenda 2201, they was talking about the corona outbreak. They had a conference in October about the outbreak of the coronavirus. And so things are not lining up. They said it didn't surface to December, and they didn't know nothing about it till January 21st. Well, how do y'all have a preparedness meeting in October?
Right. Yeah, it's really fishy. And then you got the Dean Koontz thing. What'd you have over there, Truth Seeker? What'd you have? What were you showing up at the camera?
We can't trust the media. We already know we can't trust the media. I don't trust anything coming out of China.
That's like elementary school.
I'm not there.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? I can't. For all I know, the people in China are sitting there seeing the same scenario going on here in America.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
To speak to that,
comes out of the media.
To speak to that point, though, I communicate with China on a regular basis via Skype. I have several projects that take place, and I communicate with these people, and I can tell you that it's for them being stuck in their places of where they live. This is very real, and it's a very terrible situation.
Right.
It's much worse than what we're hearing about it. But I think that from the aspect of,
but I think the media is taking advantage of it.
No, I totally agree with you. But I think
But you know what the end game is, though. The end game is this is how they get the one world government. This is how they get everybody on the same accord, and this is how they introduce the artificial intelligence. Because when they were saying it's going to take 18 months and all that, and then somebody last week or 2 weeks ago said, well, artificial intelligence already found the cure in 3 days.
Yeah.
And now they saying that they're testing. See, this is the introduction of artificial intelligence.
I believe it was Eric Holder who said, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
Lysol kills corona. 2019 coronavirus, Lysol.
Yeah.
Why don't they set off some Lysol over there?
Well, again, these are.
This is what trips me out about this. The coronavirus has been around for a minute. The problem is it wasn't strong enough to kill folks, and so they made new strands. Because trust me, this ain't just like they was talking about how one treatment that they use for the coronavirus is AIDS vaccine. The AIDS medicine.
Yeah. Which is the actual AIDS virus itself.
Yeah, we know what's the story behind that.
Well, what came out today in the news was that the largest carrier of there's China calling right now. The largest carrier of the coronavirus is Amazon. That's what they said today in the news, that shipping containers and this fear. It's believe me, I totally 100% believe that none of us in this room or majority of anybody listening will never even come in contact with the coronavirus, period. But there are people right now who are inside their homes with armed policemen outside their doors, and they are not allowed to leave. They can't go to the store. They can't go to the gas station. They can't go to their friend's house. They can't go to get a Big Mac. They are stuck inside their house. And I think that
under the guise of Corona, but
of course.
It's probably all a lie. It's for some other reason. I think China wants to depopulate. There's a shit ton of people over there, and they could use this excuse to vaccinate them, which will probably finish them off, or who knows what. Roll out the guillotine.
They've been talking about depopulation for the longest, and I've always said, how are you going to depopulize something that we started growing in numbers? I said, either you're going to have a war or some kind of disaster. But this is even a better weapon, because see, now they can say they can have a positive I can't even say the word. They can deny that they did anything. They just came from a
plausible deniability. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say. See,
exactly.
And so, like I said, this is just a stepping stone to start the FID chips for the tracking.
Yeah.
So we need to know where you're at all times.
I mean, they'll take as much advantage of it as they can. But you know what's scary is I'm 100 miles away from where they're taking all these people with coronavirus in the U.S. Guess where they're taking them? They're taking them to Omaha. That's like a stone's throw from where I'm at. So I'm like, oh man, out of all places, you know.
And it won't be long. It won't be long
but you know
before
what? I'm kind of like
that big fear comes into our country. And before long, you know, there's guards outside, and we're not allowed to go get our cigarettes, and we can't go get milk, and we, you know, that day could happen in the twinkling of an eye. That day happened in East Germany between the East and the West overnight. Okay, so
overnight,
that's what makes it so scary. Mm-hmm.
So
we're
even
only 2 months in.
That's why we got to be. That's why we got to be aware.
Well, you got to be prepared.
And half the world dead 2 months into 2020.
Well, this is what they want. This is what they want. See, the I hate to say it, I always bring back to the biblical. The Antichrist has to have one central government. And the mark of the beast has to have control of the whole planet. And so the line signs and wonders are here. That's why I go on Walmart now. They have artificial intelligence books everywhere. And so if this coronavirus started killing off a lot of people, and then artificial intelligence comes to the rescue, now people...
it's the same. Exactly. No, you're exactly right. It's the same problem, reaction, solution. And they do that every time.
Now it's exactly right. You see what I'm saying? And so...
They want to inject us, and they want us to willingly go get this injection that's supposed to cure everything and stuff like that. Would actually be the mark of the beast. People will line up for it.
Yeah.
For fear. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. This is a cure-all. Sure, I'll go get it. And done. It's
and
over
I tell people all the time, I don't want to live in a world where I have to kill somebody because I'm thirsty or because I'm hungry. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live in that kind of world. What kind of world is that to live in?
That's hell on earth.
Well, I don't want to live in that world either.
Again, when you take this into consideration and you look at the Mandela effect as the guide, you know, it reminds me of that joke when that joke where the guy is at the flood and the water is coming up his porch and the boat comes by, you know, and eventually, you know, he keeps passing on all the opportunities to get saved. And then finally the flood swallows him up and he gets up to the pearly gates and he says, you know, Lord, what happened? Why didn't you save me? And he says, well, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. I sent you all these things. Why didn't you get saved?
That's a great analogy. Yeah. It's a good analogy.
You know?
Those are the times we're living in. I think that's a good analogy.
Deceived right into taking the mark of the beast. They will be deceived right out of their souls. And this is a game for our souls. They're in it for the long game. They've been playing this game for a long time, and the end game is to get our souls.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what the enemy do. You know, And I tell people all the time, we've been being prepared. I preached Sunday, and I preached Luke 21, and that tells you everything that's going on right now. And they've been preparing for this for the longest, and now it's time for the soldiers of God to dust off them helmets and them that armor and get ready, because God say that we're going to be persecuted for His name's sake. He said that there's going to be pestilence and diseases and earthquakes in diverse places. And so all of this, and he said in Daniel 7:25 about the time shift where the dividing of time and all that. So all of this has already been stated. It's just people need to be aware, and I think we're gonna come to a point where we can't live. We ain't gonna be able to live alone anymore. We're gonna have to be helping to one another, because they're trying to make a predicament where people ain't gonna be able to have these big old houses, all these rooms, and everybody see us.
Exactly.
We're gonna have
They get off on that too. They get off on sort of sitting back and slow playing it while we all buy into it. They go, ha ha, see those stupid cattle? They're buying what we're selling them. So the more, all that is to say is that the more aware we are, the better prepared we'll be. At the end of the day. And I mean, that's really all we can do is be aware and make our friends aware and make the people around us aware. And take part. Do your part on an individual level to raise that level of awareness. That's the most powerful thing I believe that we can do.
And discernment, having discernment and the armor of God. Discernment is one of those things that a lot of people are lacking in. They don't know how to use it. They trust the media, and that's
right. We can't rely on others. We got to depend on ourselves.
Yeah. But I tell people all the time, I don't trust none of them, because they all in it together. They act like they don't like Trump, and they don't want to put him there.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we really
it's
trust.
It's almost like a laughing stock, everything. Even when I remember when they sold the internet, where they gave the internet to the EU. I see all of this was a setup, just to cut off free speech. And when they disconnected certain people from the internet, I say, boy, I swear, man, I got stuff. I don't know if y'all been experiencing this, but yesterday they've been tapping my phone, and I'm gonna tell you how they've been tapping it.
They're tapping your phone.
My wife. I got a text from her. I thought it was her. It said her name, and she said, "You made me mad. I'm angry at you." And I'm thinking, you ain't called me, so I'm wondering, well, who is this? So I didn't even say that. I just said, "I'm sorry," and she said, "Sorry for what?" And I called. I say, "You said you angry with me." She said, "I ain't text you." I said, "What?" And so, me being a technical person, I went to my cell phone bill and I checked all the incoming and outgoing data, and she didn't text me, but it came from her number.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, that's a scammers thing too. Scammers are getting a hold of our numbers, and I've even gotten calls from myself, from my own phone number before. Like, how the hell is that possible that I could even get a call from myself?
Had that happen.
I thought it was so weird. My phone just cut out earlier on this show, and I was like, I thought it was all right. But,
I took my call. I had a phone call coming in one time. It was like about a year and a half ago, and it said my name on it. And I'm like, how the hell am I calling myself?
Maybe from the future.
I answered it. There's nothing there.
Brian, we can't.
The future.
Yeah, maybe it was calling from the future, Juanito. That's a good point.
AJ and Jen, calling yourselves. You guys are just big narcissists.
Love myself.
Give me the
love myself.
It's like, give me the
doppelganger. That's the first thing I thought of. I said, well, maybe that's from the future mad at me. Or from another reality.
Your doppelganger.
Welcome, Mountain Scooter. I don't know if we can hear your voice or not. I haven't been able to hear you yet. Welcome. Glad to see you here.
Welcome, Mountain.
Hi, Scooter.
And I'm sorry,
so where do you guys think this is gonna go?
How you been?
Oh, was you saying you could not hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
We hear you now.
Yep,
We
hear you now.
Okay, I'll just move the camera a little bit closer. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I can hear you. So where do you guys see this going? Do you think it's going to continue and we're going to see way more Mandela effects? Because that's what I'm thinking. We're going to see them bigger and more frequently. And it's going to be, maybe it'll reach a crescendo of some type. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on all that? And maybe it'll contribute to the awakening more, and we'll see more, people that are saying, hey, wait a minute. They'll question their reality a little more.
Well, I believe the Mandela effect gonna always happen. I think for people, mindset gonna be more on their survival, and so they're trying to stop the. You know how people say, "Well, that ain't more important. I'm worried about me eating. I'm worried about me paying my bills." And so this is just another distraction, so that the real don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing, because I believe whatever's next is real big.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get smaller. It's going to get bigger.
But
I think we can all agree on that.
Like Moneybag says, if we're in this valley, in this trough right now, and the wave is coming, then at some point the wave is going to just come, and a bunch of new Mandela effects are going to come our way. Is that how it happens?
I'm waiting for trees to turn blue or something.
They already started bleeding, dude.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Right? The trees are bleeding now.
It looks like a rainbow tree.
It's like bursting out blood.
You seen these rainbow trees? These freaking rainbow trees. What the hell?
Never heard of a rainbow tree.
Yeah, rainbow trees. All that. Yeah, rainbow mountains now.
Rainbow mountains.
There's an orange alligator. Since when are alligators orange?
What?
Yeah, there's an orange alligator.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen them.
Yeah, that one.
I've seen alligators climb fences.
Orange.
Apparently, the alligator alley with the fences running along to keep the alligators out isn't going to work anymore, because now they can climb fences, no problem.
Wow. I seen a video of an alligator climbing a fence.
Cats have wings now. Yeah.
I think if they got them claws, they can climb anything. That's not too.
Why would they just put fences up on Alligator Alley?
There you go. There's your orange alligator. How does that look?
There you go. Nice. Yeah, there you go. Share the screen.
Oh my god.
Does that look any? Does that look anything like any alligator you've ever seen before in your life?
I've never seen. Nah.
No, I've never seen that ever. It's the Oompa Loompa. It's a Donald Trump alligator, guys.
It's a Donald Trump.
Oh my god. Orange is 33. Orange is 33.
I mean,
there you go.
Now I don't really.
Well, I know where I get my orange alligator shoes from.
That's hilarious.
Have you ever heard of a pink river dolphin?
The pink what?
River dolphin.
Pink river dolphin.
Pink river dolphin.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, I think I saw that one too. The pink river dolphin.
Never seen it. Never heard of it before in my life.
Wow.
Pink dolphins. Have you ever seen
Think about those alligators?
Yeah.
You can tell they're Florida. They're University of Florida fans, though. That's for sure.
Have you seen a sea angel? It's a snail that has little wings and it swims around in the ocean and it's luminescent.
I saw that.
On your daily dose of the internet, that guy, right?
This thing?
Have you ever seen the Elvis bug?
There's probably a video from that. That thing is awesome. It's so awesome.
Yeah, there's Elvis bugs. There's sheep pigs. I've never seen a sheep pig in my life or heard of it. Apparently, you can shear these things and make, woolly shirts out of it and stuff.
Those are crazy looking. The sheep pigs are crazy looking, dude.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Excuse my language, but that's what it happened.
Sheep
so how the fuck does the snail? How the fuck does the snail swim around and be luminescent? For real? A snail.
Yeah, these sea creatures are so crazy. They do so much crazy stuff that only they can do. Like they can change sexes. They can do all crazy. They can split in half and be two of the same one. It's like that's so bizarre.
This is not a hybrid. This is not a hybrid animal.
What? Are
Yo,
you
blow that up.
kidding me?
You're gonna
Cheap
blow up.
plates. Wow.
Click on one and
That's
blow it up.
crazy, man. That's bizarre. Yeah, I've
Are
never seen
covered
that.
in sheep fur. They're pigs.
That's
Are you
Well,
just
hey,
kidding
look,
me?
I got
nuts.
something bigger than that. Type in black chicken.
Black what?
Sunburn.
And they
Well,
have
chickens
black
fly now
eggs.
too. Did you know that? Turkeys and chickens
Yeah.
fly.
said-
I don't remember that.
I said,
that
how
never
you
happened.
gonna know? I said, how you know if it's gonna be done? It's already black.
Black chicken?
Yeah, you know all these,
Black and chicken.
all these animals. I'm sure you all know Fizzy Pop from Mandela Mondays when she always shows these Mandela
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
black
These
Oh
chickens
wow,
have black
man,
eggs.
that's crazy.
has black meat too.
They're in Asia, aren't they? Because I think I've seen
Black
that
meat
before.
and black eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Black
eggs.
eggs?
That's crazy.
That's
Black?
Yeah.
That's genetically modified though.
Those are modified?
There you go.
Oh wow,
the black eggs. Look at that black eggs.
Oh wow, I've not seen
Genetically
that.
modified. They
I
made
think they're big in like Thailand and stuff. If I read that correctly.
It's a
Oh,
crazy
wow.
world.
That's fucking
Why
nuts.
don't you look up the Elvis bug? There's an Elvis bug.
What?
Have you heard that?
An Elvis bug?
An
Oh
Elvis
my god.
bug. Yeah. I did a whole
I
video
was
on
born
it.
on Elvis's birthday. So.
Elvis bug.
If it starts saying thank you very much.
You gotta be
get me out of here.
kidding me.
Oh my
This is
God.
hilarious. Are you kidding me? What? An Elvis bug?
That's bizarre.
Is that an actual bug?
Listen,
That's
call me
a-
crazy.
It looks like Bert from Ernie and
No.
Bert.
He looks highly reminiscent of the fucking Plantis peanut guy that's been mocking us.
Yes, he does. He needs a monocle.
Look at that! Look at that! Look at that from the Muppets. You know what?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, by the Muppets, there's Uncle Deadly from the Muppets.
Uncle
Deadly.
Uncle Deadly.
I think Moneybags. Oh, what's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that was crazy. I saw that one. Uncle Deadly. How weird is that?
Uncle
Right?
Deadly.
Yeah, look that guy up. It's so bizarre. Does anybody remember this Muppet from back then?
Not
'Cause
me.
I have no.
Not me.
I know.
No.
Oh, no.
I saw the video. I saw this guy's video on it, but no, I don't remember that.
deadly.
Right.
But I'm not
Yeah,
sure
look at
enough.
this
You
guy.
know?
I've never remembered him. Oh, you went to the Universal Studios like theme park with the Muppets and stuff, and they had like all the Muppets there. You know, like pretty much everyone they incorporated into the theme park ride of music. And I never saw this guy one time. You know, it's like I think I would have seen him. I
That's
remember
just
him back.
nuts.
Deadly.
Now,
it's crazy.
Why would
And
a
listen to
guy
his
like
voice
that?
if you can pause the video.
Moneybags, you did
Why would a guy
a
like that
video
be
on
a,
this?
why would a guy like that be in a show that's for like 2 and 3 and 4 year olds in the first place? Uncle Deadly.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys heard
Right.
of?
Exactly.
Have
Yeah,
you
exactly.
guys heard of this poor hybrid of a goat and a pig? This poor little goat and pig hybrid. Have you heard of this? He's all deformed. His front legs are.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Kind of sad. Looks
Well,
kind of sad. looking at him.
You know,
Yeah.
man. That's another thing.
But
Man,
you can
man want to play God. Man want to play
you can look at it
Make
when
sure
you
you know
realize
you don't
it's.
have-
You can look
Is that-
at it when you
Look at it.
realize it's just a regular dog. That's actually the dog's
I just
ear.
pissed
How
off
about-
everyone.
You see the cute little
watching
puppy?
this right
Goats climbing palm trees.
Is that DNA modification?
No, that's a real dog.
He's
Do you
cute,
see?
though.
Yeah.
His mouth is over here, and
You
his.
gotta look up goat.
This is an illusion, actually. It's really a
I think it's Photoshop. Is it Photoshop?
No, it's not.
Is it a joke?
I don't know.
His
I thought maybe it was
the
a joke.
nose is his ear.
I thought-
Do you see that?
Oh, his head is backwards.
Yeah,
That's
his
what it is.
head's
His
backwards.
turned.
The nose is his ear. It's just an optical illusion.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I get it.
I just had to.
This weird.
I had to
That's
have a
a good
little
one.
fun with that one. The poor dog. The poor goat.
Yeah, so
Okay,
goats
we'll do that
Okay.
What am I? What goats
Yeah, that's
climbing
crazy.
palm trees?
Crazy. That's crazy.
Flying
Also,
turkey.
there's
You're the
palm
flying
trees in
turkeys.
England now. England palm trees.
How can they do that? With just like their hooves?
Look at his beard, man. That's so bizarre.
Dude,
It looks
they
like he
climb all kinds of
he looks like
stuff
something from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know, when they're walking in the abominable snowman or whatever.
They,
That's what he
they
looks
seem
like
to
to me.
they seem to defy gravity. It's crazy.
Yeah,
now. Climbing a freaking palm tree straight up. How
Yeah.
the hell
Yeah.
is it getting down? I don't even know what it's doing up there. How?
Dude,
I
that's
mean,
so bizarre, man.
Is there any way I can climb
Climbing
trees like
goats.
that? I want to be
Maybe they
able
got
to climb trees.
magnets on their hooves. That's crazy.
I think you're from South Africa. All right.
I mean, what's he doing up there, for Christ's sake?
Oh my God, he's way up there.
He's getting a view.
What?
He trying to give him something to drink.
LA looks beautiful from up here, guys.
That's insane.
I can see
He
it.
trying to give him some air for real.
I just want to take a good selfie.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
He's checking out the scene.
He trying to commit suicide.
That is just
he's
so crazy.
He's really depressed. Come on.
That really is
It's
crazy.
So the animals that are still the same and haven't been Mandela affected as far as their anatomy goes are doing different things that they've never done before. Even regular animals.
Hey, yeah, just thought about that. Man, I was mad at my wife. I had a fly 3 times fly on me and let me rub it. I said, what the?
What?
That's crazy.
It flew on me and I was rubbing it. And then
That's
I
amazing. The
showed
lack
her,
of fear.
and then I showed her, and she gonna kill it. I said, what you do that for?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, yo. I was in a laundromat. I was in a laundromat today, and there's this big brown pit bull chilling on the floor. Just old lady had the pit bull. I winked at it with my left eye as I was walking by, and it winked back with its left eye. And I just
Wow.
That's weird.
That's weird.
That's crazy.
That's bizarre, right? I was like, wow.
Well, I can.
You know,
I've never heard of an Elvis bug. I've never seen a goat climb a tree. I've never seen a black egg or a black chicken. This is now. Is the black chicken's meat black too?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is,
black
huh?
all the way.
Yeah. I said, how you eat black chicken if it's already black? You never gotta have a food thermometer.
It's actually been out a couple of years.
I mean, the inside of the bones are black.
Yeah.
You know,
It's black all the way
skin
through.
ain't just black. When
Have you guys seen the flying turkeys as well? Have you guys seen
Yeah.
that one? Turkeys flying around. That just looks so bizarre.
and
Hilarious.
chickens can fly now.
And
Chickens
chickens,
can fly.
And
Chickens can fly now.
flamingos. I think flamingos can fly real long distances now or something.
I heard that penguins can fly now. Isn't that true?
No.
The penguins.
Penguins are in the desert now.
Yeah, there are different breeds of penguins, but
I think
penguins
there
are not.
Oh no,
flying yet.
they're in Africa, but I think they were. Maybe they always were. I don't know.
Desert
I'm not sure
penguin.
if that's in the
Hey guys, I gotta bounce out because I gotta eat and then I gotta go do my own thing pretty shortly. So thank you for having me on again.
Great
Hey,
having
Brian,
you.
good to see you.
Bye, bro.
Good to see you, bro.
Great having you,
guys.
Brian.
I'm gonna watch
Thanks.
Thank
Later,
you.
Brian.
Send me a link, Bri.
Yeah, I will.
That's
I'll send it to you.
crazy.
Peace.
That is, that's the stuff that just blows my mind. I know
Hey,
that
what is the software you're using for this?
this is just a cam software, and then I use OBS to mix it. And normally we don't do this. Normally the formats of the show are, not as free back as and laid back as this. But
So this is not StreamYard,
it's what?
or is it not StreamYard?
No,
it's not StreamYard. It's a local. It's on the website.
Yeah.
It's actually Whereby.
Whereby the site itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have to subscribe to that and pay for it and all that junk?
Yeah. There's a subscription for it. Yeah.
Oh, you might. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, to get,
I apologize.
I think they offer up to 4 people for free, and I think you upgrade it for the 12 seats, and then there's even one more, but I think that would probably be just a little bit too much. More than 12.
Okay. I've been watching Richie and Brian and Moneybags and everybody forever and ever, and it's usually StreamYard, and you usually got 2, 3, 4 maybe. But this is incredible. This is like a lot of people. Oh wow, it's working good. The audio's working good. The audio's coming out.
We were
working
talking
really
about
great.
that earlier. How
I've never seen this many people in one spot talking together.
And the audio is not cutting out. I love it. I love it.
No,
Yes,
but
This is the
great.
beauty of YouTube, that you can interact with the people that you like to watch and you like care about. You know, like how cool is it that I can sit down and have a conversation with AJ
And you know
and
what?
Moneybags, Chris Seeker,
Hey,
like, that's
yo,
so
I'm
cool. You know?
tethered. And I'm tethered through my cell phone. I'm tethered through my cell phone using the internet on YouTube right now. That's how I'm on.
Yeah.
So it's working really good.
You can literally use just about any device, and it's available 24-hour, 7-day a week. Anybody can come in here. You go to riponrabbithole.com to the backstage area. You'll find that little photo there that says Cam Chat VIP Lounge, and you just hit that enter now button, and you'd be surprised. People, you know, we have a lot of great conversations in here that we don't ever go live. We thought, hey, we just
you know, I gotta tell you, what I'm using is a Logitech cam that is about 15 years old.
Oh,
It's a webcam hooked up on USB, and then I got my cell phone hooked up on USB tethering. That's how I'm there.
Okay.
It's working really good. It's working good.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, AJ, that Backstage is available 24/7 too, right? I mean, you could pop in there anytime if somebody's in there, you know.
We
I have a question for everyone. Have any of you heard about the cats and and dogs that have been displaying human-like qualities more than usual?
Yeah.
I saw that dog with that human-like face, and I kind of LOL'd pretty hard at that one because it looked pretty funny.
No,
Hey, AJ, can you bring up a video? I want everyone to see a video. This is incredible.
Yeah, let me
look up kitten acts like baby.
Yeah, it lifts its arms up. When you go to lift it, when you go to do this, it lifts its arms up like, yeah, come on, lift me up.
No. This one takes the bottle into the crib. It's like it's just mind blowing. It's like a real baby.
Wow.
It's a kitten. It goes into the crib and then it takes the bottle like a kitten, like a baby would take the bottle, and lays in the crib with it.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to see it. It blew my mind when I saw this.
Have you seen the one where they talk?
Animals, they're not acting right. They're having all these different attributes that they didn't have before. It's so bizarre.
Exactly.
Well, maybe the more you treat them like a human, the more they think they are humans, you know?
They're advancing rapidly. They seem to be
To start acting
advancing
like
rapidly.
humans.
Which one, Moneybags?
That's fine.
The top one, I think. It's a little kitten with a crib.
This one?
Kitten acts like a real baby. The dodo.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, my cat
the one?
stares me in the eyes and tries to talk to me. She's determined.
Oh yeah, my cat talks to me.
She tries
totally
to tell me
understand my
what she wants. We have whole conversations. I've never had a cat do that before.
Oh my God, look at this. Wow.
Yeah, watch this.
Wow. That's so weird.
That's wild. That
Yeah, that's
is
weird.
wild.
That just seemed a little off to me.
Oh, I have one for you guys. How about werewolf cats?
Werewolf cats?
I know somebody that has
there
one.
are. There
I
are
know
werewolf
somebody that has
cats.
one. They have
I've never seen these things in my life, and they're butt ugly.
Yeah, this one's really wild. It's got some real long hair on its face and its ears.
It's
And
not
its
pretty.
body is real short.
Werewolf cats.
Yeah, they're strange.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys.
Wow, look at those eyes, man. It looks like that one. What's that jungle animal with the eyes, the crazy eyes?
It's like
It looks
demon
just
cat.
like that to me.
What is that?
The one with the big eyes at the nighttime. I can remember. Should know.
I'm a cat lover. I had a Mancoon. I have a Bombay right now. I've never heard of this werewolf cat ever in my life.
Yeah, I have an Egyptian Mao, and I went to a cat show here in Little Rock, and lady, she doesn't even live 10 blocks from me. She has a Lucan cat.
They're so bizarre looking.
Look at that
Hers
one.
is like ash gray.
Oh, that's scary. Man. That looks like something out of like a comic book or something. You know, a horror film or something. You know,
But that's
like a
what
Stephen King film.
you know, werewolves are canine, to figure that they would even mix the two names, but they do look like a werewolf. It's so bizarre.
It's Whisper. Got a touch of Cujo in him, you know. Ready to
It's actually the hairless cat mixed with a regular domestic, and that's what they came up with.
If I were to see that cat, I'd run.
I'd run too.
Hey, boy, you
They're ugly.
sound
They're
like
butt ugly.
Have you ever heard of the Mandela Circle
you know,
Monument?
that's the
No.
show with the Dan Scare performance.
Okay.
You know, no.
Look up. I'm sorry.
thought
Look
she was-
up Mandela
I thought you
Monument.
know.
It's a Mandela Circle
you're not.
Monument in Rochester, New York, and it has the seat of remembering and forgetting in the
There's a
center
bunch
of it.
of
It's
people
a
gone.
black cube.
What?
Really? Are you serious?
The
Yeah, that's
Mandela
trippy, man.
Monument, Rochester, New York.
Moneybags is gone.
Remembering and forgetting.
Yeah, put in the seat
True
of
Secret
remembering and
69's
forgetting.
gone.
You said
main screenshot's gone.
Rochester?
Yeah.
I'm
There's
still
only
here.
4 of us here right now.
You said Rochester?
Yes, Rochester, New York. The seat of remembering and forgetting.
Oh, there's people come back in. I think.
There you go.
Right.
And you zoom in on the seat in the center.
The
Is
whole
the
thing
seat of
cut out.
forgetting and
And
remembering.
then
And what's happening with the Mandela effect? We're forgetting and remembering.
I got now.
Oh, that's crazy, man. It looks like a little Stonehenge, like, setup there, or like a guide stone.
Oh, wait, do you see what's in the black pillars there? It's all faces and hands stuck inside it, like they're screaming to get
That's
out.
crazy.
And then you have this.
Oh my
this
gosh, dude. That's creepy,
you have a
man.
black cube in the center
Wow.
made of granite. Yeah, it's
How
crazy.
You know
long
what
has
that brings
it
to
been there?
mind?
How long's
That,
it been there?
that
That's what I
Philadelphia
wanna know.
experiment.
Yeah, how long
Been
has
there
that been there?
since 2001, Moneybags, right around 9/11.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting.
And you got to see the center where it says the seat of forgetting and remembering. I mean, and you're supposed to sit on this thing in the center and meditate on what you've remembered and forgotten or some shit like that. It's actually a
Really?
magic, is what it is.
The seat.
You guys remember
get
that
it?
Philadelphia experiment where they like melded into the ship, like they're time traveling and stuff?
Yeah, that's what it
Pull up
looks
the
like.
one
It kind
with
of
the
makes
cube
me
in the
think of
center.
that. You know,
Zoom in on the cube.
it's probably nothing to do with it, but it
Yeah,
kinda
I don't have a good
makes me think of
clear
it.
shot of it. That's what I'm trying to do.
So on all 4 sides of the cube, on all 4 sides inside the circle, it says "seat of remembering and forgetting" in gold engraved
right
stuff
here.
right there. You can see it in the center.
Yeah, it does. It says the seat of remembering. and
Rochester,
forgetting.
New York.
Wow, that's interesting. I would have never have found that if you hadn't brought it up. That's a
How
great
long have
find
you
right
known
there.
about that?
I've known about this for a couple of years. I did a show with Brian last year about it. Yeah, you can look it up. Rochester, New York, the seat of remembering and forgetting Mandela Monument.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Never heard of it.
That's
It's not
nuts.
spelled exactly like Mandela. It's Mandala, which means magic circle. Which
Yeah, and
implies
I see that. Yeah, I see that interchange a lot where they bring that Mandala instead of Mandela, but it's always associated with something very much closely.
if you go down to that
correlated
newspaper
with-
article picture, you can read up on the whole thing and who built it. And you can't find any information on the lady who built this thing, this sculpture.
That's crazy.
You can't find any info on it. That's crazy.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
that's interesting. Seat of remembering and forgetting.
How about trying some
And how-
EVP over there?
This is no coincidence. You know what I'm saying? That this is happening with the Mandela effect, and this monument's there and has that engraved on it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's a coincidence. I mean, I don't know. It's just how many coincidences when you go, okay, well, it's such a reach that you go. is
And
it really
forgetting and
coincidence?
remembering. I mean, look what's going on here.
Exactly.
And it's a black cube on top of it.
Wow.
You know that's not good.
That's just
It
bizarre.
almost looks like those monoliths from the 2001. Remember that?
Yep. Or black
Kinda looks
goo
like
of
that.
some sort. Or the river Styx.
Yeah.
If you ever looked into hell and the river Styx, that's what it looks like.
Moneybags,
Uh-huh.
have you ever
Uh-huh.
heard of this?
Wow, look at that. That's so
No.
crazy. They're all like, it's like
No,
one
I
big
haven't,
crowd surf.
But who works with the mandalas? Isn't it the Tibetan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sacred
I'd have to
geometry.
research mandalas. I don't know. I can't speak on this because I never heard of it. I'd have to research it.
It does say Tibetan Buddhist.
I always see that popping up a lot with the Mandela effect, like it's associated like something that's kind of like similar, related in some way. Mandala, because otherwise that's how I heard about that. I heard about it prior to this from somebody was discussing the Mandela effect and relating that.
This thing is scary. If I walked up on this in a park, I would run the other way. It's not anything that looks pleasant or inviting.
Yeah, it's a little bit dark. It's a little bit esoteric. It's a little bit abstract. It's a little strange.
Yeah, well,
yes,
when you have a magic circle, you have to have the four corners, and you have your altar in the center, and that's exactly what this thing is. It's a magic circle.
Did anybody
And they
ever
have
think,
spells for remembering and forgetting in witchcraft and confusion.
Did anybody ever think that these could actually be people stuck in this sort of thing?
Souls trapped in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like-
what I'm thinking.
Like some sort of a serial killer or something?
Souls trapped in
No, magic souls trapped.
Actual, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like, so if you chip away at the rock, maybe you might find some DNA. I don't know.
It's like a giant Snickers bar, but with people.
And get this, guys, it's right on it's right on a ley line in Rochester, New York, and it's right next to a river, which is high energy, high frequency area.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they use this for magic circle rituals and stuff.
If it's
That's
on a
crazy.
ley line,
That's bizarre.
almost anything that has anything to do with frequencies and stuff is on a ley line.
Yeah.
Hey, Ripon, add
The
that
first
to
thing
the
I looked
list.
at when I found the location is what
I'm
ley
going
lines
to.
are running through there and stuff, and being next to a river, right on the river practically, is high energy.
That is
Add
just
that one to the
Did
list.
you
Yeah.
want to say something to you? Yeah, that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about that.
no. I mean,
Yeah, I definitely need to look. I'm looking into that.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I gotta go. Thank you so much for letting me dip in here, kind of unexpectedly.
yeah.
I love
that's
you guys.
that's
Pleasure
the
meeting you,
format of the
Truth Seeker.
show. Thanks.
No
Come
problem.
back
Christy,
anytime.
Speaker.
Great
Good
to
show
see.
with
And Moneybags, I love you.
DJ Monk.
Mwah.
Great to see you.
So,
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
love
Bye-bye.
Have
watching
a
your show.
good night.
Wow. That's
She's great. Those guys are great.
That's again, that is amazing stuff, without a doubt. And stay as long as you'd like, as long as only 12 seats stay. But I think we're going to come to the end of this first experimental broadcast tonight. I'd like to thank everybody who took part in this experimental show. Put a 1 in the chat room if you enjoyed this format and you'd like to see us do this more often. Put a 1 in the chat room. It's great to have you guys hanging out. And remember, you have that opportunity to come visit us here at any point in time. Just visit riponrabbithole.com/backstage. We're going to be back Thursday night with a whole new weekend of content for you. And, of course, March 1st with Moneybags 73 for our regular broadcast, our Mandela Monthly. Moneybags, it's Residue this month, is it not?
Yes. Reality residue. We're gonna bring the best reality residue that's been uncovered in the last few years.
The very best reality residue, and of course that's Sunday night, March 1st, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. So for those of you listening at home, for many of you, the conversation ends here, but for the Ripon Rabbits, it's just beginning. That's right. You can visit us over at the Ripon Rabbit Hole.
That's a cool song, right?
And we'll be back again on Thursday night, starting Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific. This weekend's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a episode on the Baron Trump, marvelous Baron Trump adventures. And, of course, Moneybag 73 back Sunday night, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central for the Mandela Monthly. We'll do episode on residual. Wow, this has been a fun time at the Backstage live show. Brand new experimental show. Again, thanks for the thumbs up and the ones. If you liked it, thumb up the video. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to get the notifications every time we go live. We'll be back. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. We'll go back into the Backstage Lounge one more time. Everybody give a big wave. Big wave to everybody at home. There we go.
Hello.
From all of us to all of you, wherever you are, good morning, good evening, or good night, whatever the case may be. I'm AJ, the Ripon Rabbit. Until we meet again, take care of yourself and each other. Good night. And Jerry made it in just at the last moment. We'll put him back on there. Wave, Jerry, wave. That's fun. Wow, what a lot of fun, huh?
Once there was an old man living in an old house down by the lake. Rumor says the man was hunting for rabbits just for fun. Since the day the rabbits disappeared for a while, then came back and cast a spell over the old man. So he looks like a rabbit too now.